In today's episode, we're talking about ways you can keep the magic alive when visiting Disney.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
You are listening to the Main Street Magic Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy Stein and John Marone.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and I am joined by a longtime Disney World visitor with well over 100 trips in the books, Mr. John Marone.
Thank you. And I wish at some point I had a true number, but I have no earthly idea if it's 300, 500. I have no idea.
But we're safe with 100 plus.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so when I get the survey after my Disney trip and it says if it's been over 100, just put 99, I just always put 99.
Yeah, they don't go above that.
No.
That's weird. I've always noticed that, like, because you get like 1 to 5, maybe 5 to 20, and then it's like 20 plus. But we know we're in that above realm. So with that, today we want to talk about how you can keep the magic alive when you're visiting Disney all of the time. Nobody here could see me, but I was doing air quotes with my fingers for all of the time. So recently on Facebook, we asked for our listener questions, and we want to be able to answer them. And my goal, honestly, was to be able to take certain questions and maybe answer one an episode before we got into a topic. But recently, this specific question from actually one of my good friends and a colleague of mine that I work with in another life, Kyle Gilrith, he wanted the question, basically, how do you still manage to have fun at Disney when you go every other weekend? Now, to clarify, we don't go every other weekend. We go once a month. But still, I think it's a very valid question because, you know, John, I don't know if you get, I mean, you and I guess, run in the same circle, but often people will ask me, like, you know, I say, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, well, we're going to Disney. Again? Why? And I think,
Right.
You know, I think people, there's two types. There's people that have been to Disney, and they loved it, and they enjoyed it. And maybe it was their opportunity to go once in a year or once in a lifetime with their family or their friends, but they may not have the opportunity to go all the time as we do. And I want to preface this episode by saying, I think, John, you and I both are so fortunate and we're so lucky and we're so blessed that for two reasons. One, we live pretty close to Central Florida and Disney. You know, we're about 2 hours away. And two, we have the means and we have the opportunity to go to Disney on a regular basis as annual pass holders. But I still think it's a very valid question to say, you go every month, how is this still enjoyable? So I'll kick it over to you, John. Like, what is the one of the things for you that still makes Disney enjoyable month after month?
So it's real simple to me. I look for two things. There are two things in life that really are important to me, and that is, number one, customer service. Yeah. So when I go somewhere, I want to be treated like I'm valuable, that I'm important. And then, so that by far is number one. Number two is I love seeing people who love their job or their work or their career, whatever you want to call it, right? That it's their passion. I've been to many different theme parks outside of Disney. And when I look at Disney, right, whether I go or the kids, right, we go on Dumbo, we go on Aladdin's Flying Carpets, we go on Triceratops Spin. Guess what? All three of them are the exact same ride.
Yeah.
Right? You get on it, you go around in a circle, and your vehicle goes up and down. Right? It spins. I can go to the local fair and ride that same exact ride. Now, part of it could be the theming, right?
Yeah.
But realistically, it's not. It's the people I come in contact with who are working there. They are not working to say, I got to get through the next couple hours so I can get out of this dump and get home.
Right, right.
And it's not much different. And I think the one thing that people can relate to more than anything, and I don't take a shot at anybody in general, but would I rather go to McDonald's or would I rather go to Chick-fil-A?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And whether it's and again, there's a difference there in food, but if the food was identical and everything was identical, I'd go to the one that I was treated the best.
Yeah. The best experience.
Felt most important. And I get that. I get that from Disney every time. I don't get that, for the times, and again, it's been a while since I've been to Universal, but just when I walked through there, it was different.
Yeah.
The rides were wonderful. The people were different.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I come back to when you're there. Hey, you can say what you want, and it can be hokey, and it can be magical, and you can say all those different things. But to me, I'm transported to a place where they make they do their best job for anybody who comes through their gates to make them feel important.
Yeah, and I think along those same lines, it can go for the guests. So obviously, the cast members are magical. We'll go ahead and continue to use that word. But a majority of the time, the guests are as well. There are a few places I think you can go. And look, you're all going to go to Disney, and you're going to run into the people that are they're stressed, and they're trying to fit everything in, and their kids are crying, and it's been a long day. But the majority of the guests that you will run into at Disney, they're so thankful and they're so happy to be there that you can have incredible interactions with them. I'll be the first to admit, again, as somebody who is now on a podcast with you, John, I'm not big on interactions with people. I'm not big on groups of people. I have severe anxiety when it comes to those things, except when I'm at Disney. And it's because everyone there, look, you're happy to be there, so guess what? So is everyone else. You're not waiting in line at the DMV. You're waiting in line for a magical experience. So I think the guest, it's one of those few places you can go on a regular basis and you're surrounded by a majority of people that are basically as happy as you are. There's nothing like, I can't tell you how many times we have been in a line waiting, or in a queue waiting for a ride or for some other attraction, and we have struck up conversations with people that if you ran into them at your local grocery store, your local restaurant, or on the street, you would never say a word to. But because you're at Disney, it's like you guys all of a sudden become best friends,
Right.
And so
and
that's, one of the other things I think too is like, so a lot of people have maybe the means or they have the ability to, let's say they can purchase a second home, and they purchase a home at the beach or they purchase a home in the mountains. For me, my second home and the place we feel most comfortable away from our actual home is at Disney.
Yeah. It's true for a lot of people. And again, I'll be the first to tell you, it's not for everybody.
Right.
There are going to be people, and the people who walk away and I talk to and they say, I'm never going back there again. Well, tell me why. The lines were terrible.
Right.
Well, did you use FastPass? What's FastPass? Did you? I couldn't get a good reservation anywhere. Did you book 180 days out? This is not a place that again, it's big. They take hundreds of thousands of people a day. They come from all over the world to come to this place.
You can't just show up.
You got a plan.
Yeah.
And is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you. But there's ways you can save.
Yep.
Are you going to wait in queues? You sure are. But are there other things you can do to cut down on those wait times? Absolutely. You got to put the time and the effort into it to be prepared. But you also, at the end of the day, realize this. We said, I can't figure out how many times I've been there, but it's in the hundreds, right?
Right.
I haven't done everything yet.
Right. Yeah, and that's
I've done all the rides,
sure.
but I haven't done all the experiences.
Exactly, and that's what. Oh, I love that you just said that, because that tees me off. And something else that I mention all the time is Disney First. You've been several hundred times. I think we're probably, I'm probably looking at in my 30s or 40s of times that I've been. But I think every single time we both experience a Disney First. And a Disney First to me, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this after, a Disney First to me is not the first time I did a ride, but it might be the first time that Kaylin and I had the opportunity to ride in the first row on Rock and Roller Coaster. Or it might be this past trip was the first time I did back-to-back on Everest, and I went from row 1 all the way to the last row. It could be the first time you have a certain experience. It could be the first time you eat at a new place. I think there's so many opportunities to do something new every single time you go, because Walt Disney World is vast. Like, you could go, as you have, John, several hundred times. You'll never, ever do everything, really, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's not, and that's the thing. It's not just about the rides.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to go there and golf, go golf. Go to the spa. Put the kids into a kids camp and go have a date night at a nice restaurant, or just go stroll through, Epcot or the Magic Kingdom with just you and your, spouse or significant other. There's so many different things. It doesn't have to be nonstop. You can take a tour. There's special events going on all the time. There's a special event for DVC that I want my wife and your wife to do sometime. It's on, I believe it's on Thursdays at noon. And it's, you have these painting and drinking, right? The painting with a twist, or, you have wine while you paint, and they're everywhere in every city across the country. Well, Disney does it for DVC at the Top of the World Lounge there at Bay Lake Towers between the Magic Kingdom and Contemporary. And you do a Disney painting, and you get wine or champagne during it. And it's, I don't know what, $35, $50,
but
or something like that.
You're saying you and I can't just do that?
Yeah, sure, we can.
All right, well, we should play that, because I don't think the wives can break away. So we might have to check that out for research purposes.
Yeah. We could pay, and again, they have different things of beverage tastings and and I just look back and I'm like, you always want to say that you know a lot about Disney, and I'm sure there's a couple people who know everything. Yeah. Right. I don't think I know everything, because I'm always learning. But I remember just learning more about Disney when the internet came out, and finding out, hey, because there's now a community that people can share things. No different than us today with podcasts.
Right.
We do this podcast because we can share with people. Yeah. And other people could learn. But when you learn that there were hidden Mickeys everywhere, and now you can go to the store and buy a hidden Mickey book, and just think as you're going through the park with your family and everything, like, okay, let's find them.
Yeah.
Right. We're waiting. We're not waiting. We're walking. Let's take time to do that. And I just walking through Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. Hey, it's a game, right? Yeah. There's a game you can play as you're going through the Magic Kingdom. Right. You don't go on a single ride to be able to play it. And is it free? Well, it's free. You got to pay to get into the park, but the cards they give you, the game and everything, it's free. Just you walk through, you follow directions. It's great. I mean, so there are so many different things to be able to do, and also it's not static. You were there 3 years ago. Guess what? It's completely different than it is today.
Yep.
You were there 10 years ago. You wouldn't recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's a great point too that you bring up, is that again, for somebody who has the opportunity to go quite often, you can make a different trip out of every time. So, maybe one time you're going to the Magic Kingdom and you're riding just every ride that you can ride. And the next time you're going to Epcot and you're making sure that you take the time to visit every country. And, the next time you're going to Animal Kingdom, and all you're going to do is that Explorer's workbook that they give to the kids, and you get to stop at all those different stations, or or Hollywood Studios. Look at what's going to happen at Hollywood Studios over the next 2 years. And I think if you're saying that repeat visits and going back, month after month or even quarter after quarter or year after year is going to get stale at Hollywood Studios, you're insane. There's going to be so much to do there. And so I think if you look at it some of those ways too, what I like, and again, I'm gonna continue to say we're so fortunate to have, is that I know when we go, as often as we go, there's no pressure. There's no pressure to ride a ride. There's no pressure to see a show, because we know there's going to be another opportunity to do that. So we can look at the attractions or the shows that we want to do, and if it makes sense for us to do it on that trip, we do it. If it doesn't, we think, all right, we're going to go ahead and kind of earmark that, and we're going to look at doing it next time. And so I think being able to take the pressure off of a Disney trip while you still need to make sure you're doing the planning, I think that can still be so valuable.
Yeah, I'd say that, for taking the pressure off. Forget the fact that we go more than the general person.
Yeah.
The general person who's going, and this is a once in a 5-year, once in a 10-year trip, right? You saved up, the family's going and everything. Plan breaks. Take the pressure off. I say when I grew up, I went, we went almost every year over Christmas break and almost every year over Easter break.
Right.
And we'd go, and if you go see, our Twitter feed and you look through it, you're going to find where, I posted a resort bill from the Contemporary for 1974, 75 for like $38 a night and all that. But when you look at that, we spent days, and there was only one park, right?
Right, yeah.
So
all you had was Magic Kingdom.
There weren't 4 parks. There was Magic Kingdom, and that was it. And there was Contemporary, Polynesian, Fort Wilderness, and then you had the Disney Golf Resort. Lake Buena Vista. Shops somewhat existed, but nowhere near what it looks like today. And there's no La Nuba, and nighttime shows and different things to be able to go to there. But we took days where we didn't go in a park that day, right? The whole day spent by the pool,
right,
and relaxed. Or you went in the game room, or you did. And those are the things too that I remember. I remember riding the Haunted Mansion, and the only thing that I remember as a kid is as you're walking through, after you get through the rooms and you're going to enter the ride, the bats that are on the rails.
Yeah.
Right? I remember that from a kid.
Yeah. And that holds true today.
And I'm sure I remember, I remember Jungle Cruise, because when I was little in Jungle Cruise, they actually used to shoot the animals. Yeah, they were animatronics, but when the hippo came out of the water, they took a gun and they shot that thing. Right? In Pirates, you know what? The pirates chased the women. It wasn't, and sadly, we won't, spare a moment here, but they close Pirates and it reopens, and you're not going to be able to buy the redhead. It's just, they were. I'm on a tangent, but you know what? They were pirates. Yeah. They weren't politically correct.
Right. Yeah, I got my "We Love the Redhead" T-shirt. So I hope I have my place in history.
I know we have to be today, but pirates weren't politically correct.
I know.
So I'm sure So you remember stuff like that, but but it's few and far between. I don't remember how many times, or even if it thrilled me that we walked up the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. Right, who cares? Whatever, just those different rides. But I also do remember, I remember swimming in the pool. I remember laying on the beach. I remember taking the little boat just from the Contemporary to the Polynesian. I remember one of my favorite things ever, and it's so sad that my kids will never be able to do it, is riding in the front of the monorail.
Yep. Yeah.
Riding in the front, and just... Right, parents, my sister and I would go, and we'd just ride the monorail around the circle. That's probably one of my favorite rides at Disney all time.
Yeah,
is the monorail, and it was just, that was an experience always. And The twins will never experience. My older kids have.
Yeah.
And I did. But, that to me was just fun and different. So you can do it, but you do gotta step back and relax, and you're going to be able to see things. And if you don't see everything, guess what? It's okay. It's
Right.
not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You don't want to go home and say, I spent $5,000 for our family trip and I hated every minute of it.
Right,
Why?
right.
The lines were long. It was hot. It was that. Well, you know what? Relax, right?
Yeah.
Relax. Take a step back. It's okay. I do trips, right, where we go to Disney, and if it's too hot or the parks are too crowded, I know that, right? We want to go to Disney, and we're going end of July. And let's just take that, for example, because we did it last July. We didn't go and step foot in a park our whole 3-day weekend.
Right. Yeah.
What? Yeah. Kids rode the monorail. To them, that was a ride. We swam all day. We did Disney Springs. There were other activities to do that we had a blast. We never went in the park.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is such a great point. And, even going back to like you're saying, I mean, okay, Swiss Robinson Treehouse. I still think you could walk through that thing 100 times and not see everything. You could walk through the queue of Haunted Mansion 100 times and not see everything. So like you're saying, if you take the time to sit back and relax and enjoy everything that's there, I think it's going to always be magical. And you know what? If it's not for you, then Disney might not be your thing. And I think that's okay. You might be the type that wants to go sit on a beach and, enjoy the sun and read a book every weekend, every year. But I think for a lot of us, it is about enjoying that magic as much as you can. And for me, I'll say we became annual pass holders 2 years ago. So, we haven't been in it for that long. My biggest fear when we became pass holders was that it was going to become mundane and it was going to become boring. And I was so afraid that we were going to say to the kids, hey, we're going to Disney this weekend. And they would be like, oh, well, we just went. Like, that's not going to be fun. We just did everything. 2 years straight. We're going on 26 months in a row that we've been. I'm planning day trips by myself. I'm going to say they're for research for the podcast. Don't tell Rhonda that. But not one single part of Disney has gotten old to us. And if it turns out that we don't want to see a specific attraction the month that we go, because maybe we saw it last month and we're like, we can go ahead a month without it, we're okay with that. So we have gone that often and we've not lost the magic. To me, it is still fresh and it is still new every time we go. And when I leave Disney, I'm thinking about the next Disney trip. Like, I mean,
which is sad. That's going to be, we got to do an episode on how you keep the magic alive
at
when
home.
You're not at Disney.
Yes. Yeah. I think. Okay. Let's mark that one, and that'll be the next one we do because I think that'll be a great follow up to this episode. So I feel like maybe this weekend I should come to your house for Mickey waffles, and we could probably talk about that, right?
Yeah, I guess the kids are out of them, so I guess it's time to crank out the Mickey and Minnie waffle maker and chocolate chips in all of them and do it all. Though I don't know. Will you be up early Sunday morning?
I will not. I will not. But yeah, we'll look at maybe we can have breakfast for dinner one day here coming up or something because yeah, that sounds pretty good. But no, I love this topic and I got to thank Kyle and I will say that with a smirk and I really hope he listens to this episode. Kyle is a good friend of mine. They were annual pass holders. They decided just to step back for a little bit. He's got pretty young kids still, so they're still looking at some of that magic. But Kyle, if you're listening, you got to keep that magic alive, and we really appreciate you giving us the idea for this show because I think it's important. Whether you go once a month, you go once a year, or you go once in a lifetime, I mean, there are so many ways to keep Disney magical. So, again, iTunes, everybody out there, we would love for you to leave us a rating. Go ahead and leave us a review. We really want to grow this show. We're really getting involved in the Disney community, and we're so happy to share with everyone. And we're so happy, to be involved in this incredible community. So go ahead and leave us a rating and review. You can also catch us on Google Play. Check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com. And go ahead out on Facebook and Twitter. We're starting to really strike up the conversation out there. Both of those are Main ST Magic. That's all we got for now. We'll see you real soon.